Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, guys. Dear Mr. Dedi, as a morphology subject lecturer and happy 3D classmate, on this day, I'm Oriana Kusuma as moderator. The topic that we will talk about is teaching morphology. Before the discussion begins, I will introduce the member of Group 12, namely, I'm Oriana Kusuma, Neneng Rohaeni, and Putri Amelia Damayanti. Hello, Neneng, Putri. The composition of the discussion material that we will convey including what is morphology, morphological awareness, morphology in ESL-EFL, and less alternative ways to teach. Before going to the material, I will explain a little about teaching morphology. Study English morphology for an English teacher to be is as important as studying how to teach English by having a better understanding on English morphological concept. Hopefully the English teacher to be will be able to apply it when they are teaching English to their student in the class. The English teacher also can help their students to develop their morphological awareness while they are learning foreign language. Morphological awareness is one of linguistic awareness ability belongs to human beings. Next is the presentation of the first material, which is about what is morphology by Neneng Rohaeni. Neneng, hello.
Hello.
Are you ready for this presentation?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, please, Neneng.
Okay, the first material I will explain about what is morphology. Morphology is the study of word and its internal structure, affixes, as well as word formation. Words become the central points in studying morphology. Word is a smallest unit of linguistic form limited by spaces. There are a simple word, complex word, and compound words. Simple word is the words cannot be segmented into smaller units with their own meaning, such as the, which, that, it, both, and etc. Complex word is those the words can be broken down into smaller parts with their own meaning. For example, the word weight-hood, weight plus hood. Weight is verb and hood is noun indicator. The existence of such pattern proves the word may have internal constituent structure. Meanwhile, the process of adding suffix hood into weight-hood deals with how the words are formed. Next. Next. Morpheme is the smallest meaningful units in language. Morpheme carries meaning and grammatical information such as plurality and tense marker. For example, the word book is composed of book plus s. Book is a noun and s is a suffix for plurality. Both book and s cannot be broken down any further and both of them carry their own meaning. So book and s are morphemes. Morphemes are classified into three. The first is pre-morpheme. Pre-morpheme is a morpheme that can stand alone. Pre-morpheme consists, the first is content word, is a noun, verb, adjective, and adverb. The second is function word, is a preposition, articles, conjunction, pronoun, and etc. The second is bound morpheme. Bound morpheme is a morpheme that cannot stand alone. While bound morphemes consist of affixes, based on their position, affixes can be classified into the first is prefixes. Affixes in the from position such as re, this, il, I am, and the, and etc. The second is suffixes. Affixes in the back position such as unable, such as able, iron, man, ian, and etc. Meanwhile, based on their function, affixes can be derivational and inflectional affixes. The last one is geromorpheme. Geromorpheme is a morpheme consisting no phonetic form. Morphological awareness. Morphological awareness is the individual's conscious comprehension of the particular word, for, formic structure, and their ability to imitate and manipulate that structure. Morphological awareness refers to the ability to recognize the existence of morphemes in words. Morphological awareness enables the language learners to clarify the pronunciation of certain sounds. For example, the boundary between the prefix "nis" and the root "here." It is more likely that they would correctly pronounce that S and H separately rather than incorrectly as a combination like sir and in as in sheep. In spelling, morphological awareness helps the students to spell the complex word and to remember its spelling easily. Next. Morphological awareness helps the students to comprehend reading text easily. Morphological awareness helps the student to improve reading skill, reading ability and reading comprehension, writing development, and understanding speech production. Morphological awareness exposes the students on identifying word structure, affixes, derivation, inflection forms, and identifying their meaning based on the morphological analysis. That's all from me. Back to Najwa.
Okay, thank you, Neneng, for a good presentation. Next is the presentation for the next material will be read by Putri Amelia Damayanti. Hello, Putri Amelia.
Hello, Nazwa.
Are you ready for this presentation?
Yes, of course, I'm ready.
Okay, please, Amel.
Thank you, Nazwa. Okay, so now let's talk about the morphology in ESL or EFL. Morphological competence becomes one of the important parts in determining a high level of proficiency in ESL or EFL. So that's why derivational and inflectional morphology are very used in advanced level in English international tests such as TOEFL. Before we discuss it further, let's find out what the meaning of ESL and EFL. ESL is English taught to the people whose main language is not English and they live in a country where English is an official or a main language, such as English in Singapore and India. In the other hand, EFL is English taught to the people whose main language is not English and they live and they live in a country where English is not the officially or the main language, such as English in Indonesia. In this case, students of English department in Indonesia, they can be classified into EFLs, and they are prepared for teaching EFL students too. So English is the main foreign language taught in Indonesia. The objective of teaching learning English in Indonesia are developing communicative competence and language skill mastery such as listening, speaking, reading, and writing. For any language learner, it is a must for studying morphology because it needs to fulfill sufficient skill of target language and to be able to communicate well. There are several purposes and benefits of studying morphology. The first one, we can when we learn about morphology, we can study how to pluralize a noun in English grammar by studying English morphology. The second one, we can guess the meaning of words, especially the complex and compound words. When we can guess the meaning of words, we can improve our vocabulary. A good vocabulary can help learners to write easily dealing with diction. Then we can recognize the meaning of the words by viewing the prefix and affixes attached to them. This method is very helpful in reading comprehension. And the last, we can memorize the spelling of certain words, and this method can be helpful for improve our speaking and listening. So let's move on to the next materials is about alternative ways for teaching morphology. Some students in English department feel uninterested when they study English morphology. They feel bored since they have to read several books, to memorize several theories, and the teacher usually use a PowerPoint presentation to explain the materials and discussing about that in the class. However, it doesn't work well. So now I will tell you about the interesting way to teach English morphology in the class. There are two ways that I will deliver to you. The first one is using lecturing video about English morphology from YouTube instead of the books. And the second one is using games for the morphology. Now I will talk the point one is about lecturing video. Books seems no longer interesting for students lately. They feel eager when they learn from the videos. So how did we learn to use YouTube videos to learning? The step is the first teacher download the videos materials from YouTube and then give the video to the student 3 days or a week before discussing in the class. And then the student must be able to comprehend what the video talking about in a group. It can be 3 or 4 members in a group. And in the class, the teacher give a question dealing with the materials in the video, And in the end, the teacher and the student discuss about the materials in the video together. The use of video is much better than using a book. Using a video gives them a new challenge. They have to struggle to listen the materials from the video. It is good for training their listening ability too. However, the teachers still use a presentation and discussing class once a while. And the second point is games for English morphology. Games have an important role in EFL class. Games refers to the particular activity having a role, goal, as well as entertainment. Games can reduce the student become a bored. Apparently, games can be used to teaching English morphology. There are several games that can be applied in English morphology, such as identifying affixes. Identifying affixes is the game that we have to identifying roots, words, and affixes. This game can be played by individual or in a group. To play this game, we have to prepare several packages of cards like this. I have some example. The card is consists with like this: internship, misheard, and many more. And how to play this game? For play this game, the student of the group have to identify the affixes and the roots of complex words. For example, we have this complex word misheard. Beside the card, we have to prepare a scissors. The first we have to cut breaking down them into the smaller parts like this. Misheard have a prefix mis and heard for the root word. Okay, the second game is affix card. These games can be applied individual or in a group. To play this game, the teacher has to prepare 2 boxes. Wait, forget where is, oh, okay, 2 boxes. The first box is a root box. There are several root words like kind, friends, and many more. And the second box is for affixes word like miss, and many more. And for how to play this game, each group takes 3 or 5 root words and 3 or 5 affixes cards. They have to create as many complex words as possible by using the root word and affixes. For example, I will take 4 root words and 4 affixes word. The word of like we can use for the root words there are like kind, happy and friends. And for affixes, there is an, li, nes, and miss. For this happy, I can use this happy for root word and ness for suffix. It can be a complex word, happiness. And then beside ness, we can use an for prefix. Still use the happy word like unhappy. And many more like that. So the third game is affix board game. These games can be applied individual or in a group. The teacher prepare a board game containing of affixes. This is prefix or suffix in each square in the board. And besides that, the teacher prepared dice and game piece. To play this game, the student have to roll the dice and move the game piece to the square number in the board. Let's jump into the example. For example, the student gets 4, and in the 4 square is a word less, suffix less. The student should recognize less is what? A prefix or suffix. And after they say it's suffix, they give example. For example, careless. After they have the complex word, they have to make a sentence from the complex word. So when I get careless, the sentence is, he is a bit careless when driving his motorbike. So like that, the games. It will be continue until all of the member can get the turn like that. So it's just it all for me. And back to Nazwa.
Okay, thank you, Putri, for amazing presentation. All right, friends, we have listened to the presentation of the Neneng material and also Putri, who is very extraordinary. We gave applause. Yay! Next is a question and answer session. Please, if anyone want to ask any question. Okay, if there are no questions, I will end for this discussion.
Angin diam, tak ingin mengusik keheningan. Chandra pun enggan mencipta bayangan. Dipilihnya persembunyian di balik awan paling tebal, agar tak sedikit pun biasnya tertinggal. Tak satu serangga pun bersuara, meski sekedar untuk bersendawa. Senyap sungguh malam ini adanya, aku pun tak sedang ingin bercanda, aku berduka. Belum habis kesedihan, datang kemalangan. Bencana terus mencoba-coba keimanan, memisahkan kekasih dan keluarga seketika. Mencipta rintih, tangis memilu, menoreh luka. Justru di saat berharap khusyuk, bertubi kau perlihatkan tantangan. Ketakwaan di tengah kebakaran padat hunian. Di antara asap menyesakan, di kepanikan gempa menakutkan, sungguh ujian yang berat dijalankan. Masih dalam kesedihan mendalam, semoga mampu bertahan dari guncangan batin dan siksaan badan. Semoga mampu bertahan, meneguh hati menerima cobaan.
So the conclusion is learning English morphology is essential for the student of English department because English morphology supports the language teaching. English morphology also supports language elements, grammar, vocabulary, and language skill, reading, writing, speaking. As an English teacher, they are supposed to teach their student language elements as well as language skill in the class, and thus material from English morphology can be applied in teaching process. The students of English department who are prepared to be English teacher in the future must have better understanding on English morphology. However, some students of English department are not aware of the importance of studying English morphology, so that they sometimes just ignore morphology. It happens due to the boring class, many theory of English morphology to remember, and many teaching material to read. So, an English morphology lecturer must find ways to teach English morphology interestingly, such as using little video about English morphology from YouTube instead of textbook, use game for English morphology, and giving real example of English morphology in the environment. Thus was the group discussion of 12. Let's say Alhamdulillah. I, as a moderator, apologize for my mistake. Let's give applause to all of us. Thank you all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Nazwa.
Thank you all.